It just gives such perspective. When we were 14 years old, we lived in Hawaii, and we lived in a small efficiency apartment. And my mom and I came home, and I'll never forget, the rent was $180 a week. And there was an eviction a week, and there was an eviction notice on the door. And this was the one, it was the final eviction notice. Like, that's the one. My mom started crying, and I never forgot in that moment. It was a seminal moment for me because I felt like I never want to be in this position again. What can I do? So at 14 years old, I thought, well, the heroes in my life, Muhammad Ali, for example, professional wrestlers, they're all men who have worked hard with their hands and they built their body. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what my dad taught me and these other heroes. I'm going to go build my body so we're never evicted again. But being evicted, by the way, has, as you were saying, has not only given me just great perspective, but also great gratitude, but also, and my team and my family, we laugh at it, but I feel this way, like, oh, well, you know, we're a month away from being evicted. I got to go to work. Like, I still have that in my head. You still have that. I still have that in my head, you know, but it keeps you grounded, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I that's why the most this and the most that, again, it's wonderful, but the alternative is what I once was.
You know, this whole vision tour is about people who've been knocked down sometimes in life. Everybody, you know, not in a ring, but have had those moments where you didn't feel like the rest of the world saw you for who you needed to be. How were you able to turn that around?
Okay, so thank you for bringing that up. So this is, it was a turning point in my career, and it really allowed me to grow, and it really allowed me just to be me and be anchored in with who I am. So when I first started wrestling, the idea was, well, why don't you call yourself Rocky Maivia? Out of respect for your dad, Rocky Johnson, and your grandfather, Peter Maivia. I hated the name. And I thought, well, I just wanted to make my own way. And I wanted to be independent. I love my family, but I don't want to do it like that because it feels like I'm trying to leverage their fame. The powers that be said, nope, that's your name. I was also told, well, when you go out and you wrestle, you have to smile. I want you to smile big. This is in the WWE.
Why are you smiling if you don't beat people up?
Because, you know, well, the idea was I was a rookie in the wrestling business. I was what's called, the wrestling business is a term called babyface, which is a good guy. I was being groomed as a good guy wrestler. Young, the idea was you're grateful. Grateful for the opportunity, so when you go out there, I want you to smile. You can't smile enough. And I thought, well, what if I lose? No. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Still got to smile, and it just didn't feel right. That didn't sit right with me. So a few months later, the company made me the Intercontinental Champion. And then a month later, we go into the annual biggest event. It's like the Super Bowl of wrestling, WrestleMania, and it was WrestleMania 13. By the time I got to Chicago, WrestleMania, 16,000 people in the middle of the ring. When I was in the ring, and I'm supposed to be a good guy, and you're supposed to cheer me, 16,000 people were chanting, "Rocky sucks." Thank you for laughing, a few of you. But it was...
Can you hear the word sucks clearly when you're on the mat? Rocky sucks.
Yes.
Yeah, Rocky sucks.
There's a reverb that happens in the arena. And when in unison, not one person, you suck.
Yeah.
16,000. And I remember laying there in the ring, and the referee said to me, don't listen to him. And it was crippling for me.
Yeah.
But so then at that time, the powers that be thought, this isn't going to work. And for whatever reason, people are not liking you and they're not connecting with you. And so in that moment, it was very defining because I asked then if I could just be myself. And if I could go out there and if I can speak to the crowd and if I could just be myself and be authentic. And if I don't want to smile, I don't smile. If I want to laugh, I laugh. If I want to sing, I sing. Whatever it is, I just want to be me. Can I have that for 1 minute of live TV time? Powers that be at that time, Vince McMahon, said, you got it. So on Raw, live TV, I grabbed a microphone and I said, I may be a lot of things, but sucks isn't one of them. And I said something to the effect of, basically, it's not a this thing, it's not a that thing, it's a me being myself thing. And before you know it, I guess the moral of the story is the importance and the power of finding your identity and being true to who you are. Even in that wild world of pro wrestling, it still applies to everyone in the room, and how powerful that could be, because it was a true shift and click moment. And I never looked back, and I became, fortunately, the biggest draw that the business has ever seen.
Wow. You know, I was talking earlier about intention, and you have acquired and continue to acquire a lot as you're continuing to build $7. What is the purest, highest, truest intention behind it all? Because I know at the end of the day, it isn't all about fame, and it isn't all about making money. So the reason why you want to continue to grow and succeed is what?
To create an amazing experience for people. And that's important to me, because that's an opportunity that I have to give joy and help, whether it transform or a movie or a thing or whatever it is. Like, that's the audience's experience. Audience experience is something that's deeply personal to me. And I think that goes back to when so before the bright lights of the WWE, I was wrestling in a small wrestling company. We'd wrestle in flea markets and used car dealerships. You put a ring in the used car dealership in the parking lot. But the reason why I bring that up, in state fairs, but there was an intimacy there. And even at that level, it was always about, well, how can I send the audience home happy and make people feel good? And by the way, I also feel like if you're in a position to make people feel good, that is such a powerful thing. Yeah. It's such a powerful thing.
I know we did you for Masterclass for OWN, and something you said there really stuck with me, that the most powerful thing you can ever do is to be yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you were talking about that earlier, about that moment that you learned to be authentic, is when everything changed.
That's when everything changed. It's like a shift and click moment for me, when I realized there's great power in being myself. Same thing for all of us. But I believe it's the most powerful thing that we could be. It's easier said than done, because I struggled for a long time trying to figure out, well, what's my identity and who am I? And for example, when I got to Hollywood, the very first time I got to Hollywood in the early 2000s, I was told, again, well, if you want to be a star, then maybe you shouldn't talk about wrestling. Maybe you shouldn't go to the gym as much. Maybe you shouldn't raise your silly eyebrow. And, there was a lot of things like that. And when you don't know, you buy into it. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe, don't call yourself The Rock. Okay, so I went through that entire process for years trying to figure out who I was. And then when you look back on my earlier career, the films I was doing, they were good, but just not, like, oh, that's how I like to see him, because he is his true, authentic self.
And have you had a sweet revenge moment?
Yeah, who sucks now, huh? Yeah.
One of those.
One of those. Yes. It was, okay, so at this time when I felt like, okay, I really need to make a change in my career. I need to be me, and I want to have the kind of career that is a global career. And I said, I'm not quite too sure how we're going to do it, but I need you to buy into the vision with me, and I'm willing to put in the work with my own two hands. As I was telling my agency at that time in Hollywood. And they all looked at me like I had three heads, and they thought, well, we just don't. They thought, okay, sure, kind of placating me. And then eventually I left them, and then decided, you know what? My name is The Rock, and I come from the world of professional wrestling, and I look the way I look, and I talk the way I talk, and I love to work out, and you know what? This is who I'm going to be. And then here I am today. So for those who said, we don't get it, kind of sweet revenge.
So you posted on Instagram in November, joy and hope cost nothing. Remember this?
Yes.
And yet, it's the most powerful gift that we can all give, and that's the real magic to life. So after everything that you've been through, particularly this past week, what are you now most grateful for today?
I'm most grateful for life. I'm most grateful for an opportunity. I'm most grateful for my family. Gratitude is a big thing with me. I mean, it is truly my anchor.
Yeah.
Yes,
mine too.
me too, right? It's my anchor, and I wake up with a heart full of gratitude. And even in death, and even when things don't go right, and even though I didn't make it to the NFL, me making it to the NFL was the best thing that never happened. Yes.